In William Kaplan's classical form, he identifies various formal functions, which can be holistically defined as relating to some general notions of time within a musical phrase. In other words, a function portrays a sense of temporal placement within a phrase or phrase group, a sense of being in relation to surrounding formal units. An example would be the presentation half of a sentence, which feels like it's beginning or initiating a musical phrase. Functions can also exist at different hierarchical levels, which we'll see more in a couple slides. And often, formal functions have corresponding formal units or theme types in Kaplan's terms. In recent studies of popular music, certain formal functions, particularly initiating, build-up, and arrival, have been discussed at length, while framing and medial functions have received little scholarly attention. You can see that at least 5 different pop music scholars have written about the initiating, build-up, and arrival functions with various iterations on the naming of the 3 functions. Additionally, while Robin Addis writes about the build-up introduction, she does not bring up function in the Kaplanian sense, making no mention of framing function. And while some scholars have talked about recent iterations of the pop bridge, none, to my knowledge, have ascribed it medial function. In classical form, Kaplan discusses many functions, and they can be somewhat difficult to group together, since they can exist at multiple hierarchical levels, and at times formal functions can overlap with formal theme types. The 4 main functions are initiating, medial, concluding, and framing, and I've provided an example of a corresponding formal unit for each function. It's important to note that presentation, continuation, and cadential are also themselves functions that exist on a lower hierarchical level. This is important because in my view of popular music functions, the medial function is split into its 2 constituent parts. In my view, continuation corresponds to build-up, and I retain the label medial. A formal unit with build-up function has a strong temporal sense of leading to something else. For example, a pre-chorus builds to the chorus. A formal unit with medial function has a strong temporal sense of being in the middle of something. A bridge, for example, exists as an independent formal unit in the middle of a song. For now, though, let's set medial function aside to focus on framing functions. In Kaplan's view, framing functions have the sense of being, quote, before the beginning and, quote, after the end. To me, before the beginning really means before the beginning of the verse, so for that reason, I prefer describing framing functions as simply having a sense of before or after. For example, an outro in pop music has a temporal sense of being after the end of the final chorus. The introduction or intro in popular music is a formal unit that begins the song. However, there still may be material that has a sense of being before the beginning, such as a short introductory drum fill. The intro has the sense of being before the verse, and has the job of establishing the groove, the timbral palette, and the harmonic identity. Essentially, the intro sets the listener's expectations and introduces them to the sound world of the song. In general, the intro will match the energy of the chorus and be greater in energy when compared to the verse that follows it, and I identify single and multi-part intros. Now let's listen to the intro of the track The Pain of Joy by Shoji Kumi from her 1991 album Prime. Make note of the multiple parts of the intro and the way it hooks you in as a listener. This and many other intros in city pop music are intricately crafted, with jazz big band-esque full ensemble hits, which in the case of The Pain of Joy, weave their way into the beginning of the verse. The reintroduction, or reintro, some call it link, is a formal unit that's situated in between the first and second verse-chorus rotations. The reintro can, but doesn't always reuse material from the introduction. For this distinction, I use dependent or independent. If it does reuse material from a multi-part intro, it will likely be just one part, and typically it will be the last part of the intro. Now let's listen to the ending of the chorus and the reintro in the same song, The Pain of Joy. Note that this is a dependent reintro since it reiterates material we heard from the opening intro. Now, the question is, how do we treat the functionality of the reintro? Is it a framing function? It does kick us into a new verse, but it acts as an ending to the first chorus as well. And on top of that, it's situated directly in the middle of two large-scale rotations. I argue that the reintro doesn't have just a single function, but in fact, three distinct functions. By appearing after the chorus, the reintro obtains post-arrival framing function. By appearing before a verse, it obtains introductory framing function. And by appearing in between two verse-chorus rotations, it obtains medial function. Now, as a case study, let's take a look at the framing function in Koichi Kawamura's track Weekend Mermaid from his 1989 album Have a Good Time. As we listen, think about how the intro catches the audience's attention with unique effects, full ensemble hits, and a catchy hook melody. The intro also provides the first impression of the groove, introduces the instrumentation, and even provides some motivic hints at later melodies. Most notable is the third part of the intro, which occurs 3 times throughout the song, functioning first as an introductory framing function, then a triple functioning re-intro, and finally a post-arrival framing function outro. I love Weekend Mermaid. To conclude, while initiating, build-up, and arrival functions have been discussed at length, framing and medial functions have yet to receive adequate scholarly attention. In my view, medial functions in pop music can be divided into two categories, build-up and medial. Moreover, framing functions, I argue, are integral to a song and do not simply exist before the beginning or after the end. Additionally, city pop music specifically offers a multitude of intricately crafted intros, reintros, and outros that are ripe for analysis.